And welcome to our second installment of using understanding by design in the career and technical education environment. And one of the important things to keep in mind is that understanding by design and any unit planning curriculum design framework is, of course, a process. And the processes do need reflection. And so after we get done yesterday, I went through and I was looking at my competency list again, and I found another competency, 1.8, demonstrate and practice the use of various types of cameras, lenses, and lighting units that I thought also informed this particular unit on camera operations. Now, the idea about lighting units does not specifically, in my opinion, work well this unit. So I'm going to include it in here, even though I'm not going to touch on all the elements of this knowledge standard. But I am hitting on at least 3/4 of them here. And so again, just to review, we were drawing more specifically from the knowledge, content, and skills column than from the competency column, because on an individual unit basis, these were what were manageable for us to work on. So I think moving forward, I'm going to refer to these as knowledge standards because that is a nice term to keep in mind. So the other thing is I went to my transfer and I realized I had a little bit of language in there which did not really fully match what was being alluded to here in these competencies. And so I added the phrase select in addition to using the camera, because I think it's also important that students can figure out which camera they need, which lens they need, and be able to then use it. And I also took out the part, I think I had something about compelling or emotionally powerful images. And I instead put in this more general statement about purposefully capturing moving and still images. So that purpose could be any number of different things. I felt that was removing a little bit of my teacher bias in here and making it more true to what the knowledge standards were asking for. And that's really an important part of UBD or any, again, curriculum design process, is that you do need to get feedback on what you're creating. You do need to look at it and revise it occasionally. So we went through, we sort of have our broad goal here. We've identified some established goals from the New Hampshire Department of Education, which inform that goal. We have adopted some enduring understandings and essential questions. And we now are going to move down to what we call acquisition. And acquisition is getting into a little bit more of the specifics of what students will know and students will be skilled at. And in this case, I'm going to say that students will know, and we use bullet points, I think, the names and functions of common camera optical controls. I was going to put down lenses, but I said I want to be a little bit broader in there. There are other optical controls which I may need to know as well. Students will know various camera supports such as tripods, dollies, cranes, rigs, etc. Students will know the advantages and disadvantages of various camera equipment. And here I'm going to put something which is not specifically mentioned here in the competencies, but I think can be inferred from them. Students will know typical features found on professional video equipment. And these are certainly some will know kind of standards that I would probably work on a little bit as I move forward. Students will be skilled at, well, this is what are they going to do? And again, I think that the temptation is to put these knowledge standards over here. I would discourage you from doing that. I would instead say this is the point we need to put this into a slightly more student-centered. Let me go back here. That was unusual. I think I'll put that in a more slightly student-centered type of language. And the bullet points are not working very well right here. Some of those technical anomalies, which I'm not going to allow to throw me. Let's try a numbered list. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move forward with the content, and we will figure out what's going on with the technology later. What will the students be skilled at? Well, the students will be skilled at choosing the correct lens for a given scenario. Students will be skilled at, and this does not say anything in here about concepts such as setting the focus. Well, if they're going to be using lenses, even though I know it only says demonstrate and practice the use of, I think we need to specify this a little bit more. Students will be skilled at using, let's say, camera controls to produce desired results. So that would, I didn't specifically say things like f-stop and focus and white balance, but those are, I think, inferred from this idea of demonstrate. And if you're getting concerned about, well, we really need that to be in there, if you scroll down here, here's your learning plan, and here's your evidence. And when we get to these stages, we will really get very specific, and we'll get even more specific as we start linking to other documents. For example, under evidence, there may be a rubric, which you will refer to, which may get into the specifics of setting f-stop in this case. It may get into the specifics of the components of an internal combustion engine. But again, those things have changed over time, so we want this to be a more enduring document. Students will be skilled at, let's see here, setting up camera supports. And I do not think this is all the things they'll be skilled at, but for the sake of this lesson, I'm going to stop here. And let's see if we can get those bullet points to work this time. And they did work that time, which is a good thing. So we did not let the technology throw us. So we're going to wrap up our desired results stages here before we move down to evidence. And again, just to recap, this is a unit on camera operations. These are the knowledge standards from a established third-party source, which we are using to inform our unit. Our transfer is to select and use camera equipment to purposely capture moving images and still images. We have some enduring understandings, some essential questions. These are great things for students to actually perhaps answer in an essay question. You're working on those language arts skills. Well, right there are some questions where they could either do it as an opinion piece or even go through a more of a technical writing assignment related to those essential questions. And then we brought down to what exactly are the students going to know? And again, I would avoid copying and pasting in your competency list here. I would avoid copying and pasting in vocabulary list. I've seen that done. That's a little bit concerning to me as well. The whole point of this is not to just fill out the template as quickly as possible. The whole point of this is to think about what these things mean and what it is that really matters to you. So as you're working through with a group of your peers, perhaps a professional learning community, you want to talk about, here's what I've come up with, and do these seem valid? Do these seem enduring? In our next stage, we will establish some specific criteria we want to measure and some of the specific tasks which students may be doing that we will be measuring as well. So thank you, and I hope this has been helpful.